welcome everybody. If you're not sure if you're in the right place, this is adopting generative AI safely and effectively in your contact center. This is InflowCX, an Amplix company, and a Glia webinar. Really excited to have our friends from Glia here today to speak to everybody about this really impactful topic. Inflow does have a couple other webinars coming up. Leveling the Playing Field with Genesys Workforce Engagement on July 18th. And then on the 25th, we've actually got a webinar around humanizing the patient experience in a digital world. So if you're a healthcare provider or healthcare adjacent, one could be beneficial for you. Before I kick it over to Glia, I wanted to hit a quick agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about InflowCX, just one slide. And then I'll pass it over to Eden over at Glia, give an introduction to Glia's expertise. We'll talk about AI trends and transformation, some things to think of around responsible AI. And then when you think of AI in buckets, we're going to do an actual illustrative demo of Glia AI today, which is going to be awesome. And then at the end, we've got a Q&A and an AI checklist resource. Make sure that when you're thinking about your overall AI strategy, you've got a good checklist and are thinking of the right things. So without further ado, if you don't know InflowCX or not sure who we are, we're an organization that helps companies evaluate, deploy, and optimize their customer engagement, technology, and strategy. So think of Inflow as vendor neutral, right? We've got great partnerships with awesome companies like Glia, and then tons and tons of other ones out there. This space is very complex. Everyone does different things, has different things that they're great at, and it can be really hard to navigate it as an end user. And so we act as sort of a guide or a Sherpa to help people navigate this space really well and make the right technology decisions. The right technology decisions have to be data driven, is sort of our philosophy and our motto. So we help companies gather requirements, utilize ROI, TCO, and then business case modeling to make technology decisions for their organization. Our expertise spans really across anything core CCaaS. So if it's CCaaS or CCaaS adjacent, that could be AI like we're talking about today, customer experience, unified communications, workforce optimization, BPO or outsourcing strategies, automation, analytics, sort of anything in the core customer experience or contact center realm. We can certainly help you there. And then on top of being a good technology sort of guide and provider, we've also got a great services arm of our business. We provide high touch implementation and managed services on many technologies out there. And the goal of that is just to ensure that our customers are happy, get what they want, and don't just buy tech and then let it become shelfware. We're there. We've got skin in the game to make sure you're making the most of that over time. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to our friends at Glia, Eden Bohannon and Jake Tyler. Eden, go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Austin. We're super excited to be talking with you all today. Hopefully leaving this webinar, you all take some valuable insights around generative AI and when you should use it, when you shouldn't use it, and can take that actually back to your own organizations and be thought leaders yourselves. But to kick us off, my name is Eden Bohannon. I manage strategic initiatives here at Glia. And with me today, I have the one and only AI expert, Jake Tyler. He leads product marketing for our AI suite, and he was actually the co-founder of Fin AI before Glia acquired that company back in 2022. Jake, anything you want to add to your own introduction?
That was a great introduction. I need you to my party intros in the future. That was great.
You like the one and only?
The one and only is great. Yeah, I mean, I've been in this space for about a decade now, and so I've done some things that haven't worked, and we're doing some things that work a bit better now at Glia. And so excited to share some of those learnings. But also, it's a reasonably tight group here today. So if you have any questions, we're all trying to figure out this big AI wave. So this is sort of the forum to have that conversation. Hopefully, we can be helpful as you try to figure it out.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. So along those lines, why should you listen to anything we have to say today? That is because we have an extensive amount of experience in secure AI interactions specifically. Over the past 12 years, we have partnered with over 500 financial institutions who are actually known for having placing a high priority on security, compliance regulations and requirements. And so we've done AI deployments for over 150 of them, and we're deploying AI across other industries as well, healthcare, retail, travel, and hospitality. But we do have a strong background in secure AI interactions specifically. And we've completed over 2 billion interactions on our platform, which gives us a lot of different data points to learn from. This is my last slide before I hand it over to Jake. But across all the interactions that we've done, those 2 billion interactions, we've been able to create our own category that we call Unified Interaction Management, where we've been able to combine voice, digital, and AI channels to basically identify where are the best opportunities to leverage AI in the customer experience, agent experience, and manager experience. But then how do we incorporate AI across live interactions as well? How do we support the handoff between automation and that human touch throughout a customer interaction? So Jake's going to touch on a little bit of that today. But as a segue into the webinar, we are going to run a quick poll for those of you that are actively participating here. A little bit of a provocative poll. What portions of your interactions will be automated or augmented, emphasis on or augmented, with AI by the end of 2025? Do you think it'll be 0 to 20%, 20 to 40%, 40 to 60%, 60 to 80%, or over 80% of interactions? I know Jake has his own prediction here, which I'm sure he'll touch on in a second. So we'll give you about 5 more seconds to fill that out. And then we will go ahead and remove the poll. And I'll kick it over to Jake.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the answer from the poll is 100%, and 100% today. And so I'll walk you through how our customers are using AI to augment every interaction today. And so I think when we think about AI, we often think about customer-facing chatbots, and I think, you know, what we're going to walk through today is, yes, that is a big part of it, and there's a big opportunity there, and we can show some of what we're doing in that space. But there's a huge opportunity to build AI-powered features for your agents and augment their workflows, and lots of like automation and workflow streamlining that we can do there. And then a lot of AI opportunities for insights and things like that for managers. So we'll walk through some of what we do, and the purpose is to hopefully get you thinking about what could work for your organization as well. So, you know, in case you've been hiding under a rock, there has been this massive AI wave happening in the last couple of years since the launch of ChatGPT, and then, you know, subsequent every week there seems to be something else coming out about AI, and it is, you know, I'm sure we've all played around with it. It is an incredibly powerful technology, and it's advanced a lot faster than I think a lot of folks were expecting. And as we all play around with it as consumers, you know, it's great. It helps us write emails and do things like that. It is going to have a really transformational impact on how we interact with our customers. And so today we want to walk through some of you know, what that impact could look like. I think you know, we're seeing even now a really huge business opportunity from AI-powered interactions or AI augmented interactions. So Klarna is a buy now, pay later firm, or a consumer lending company. And they've got a generative AI-powered chatbot that they deployed for customer service. And they, according to them, it's doing the work of 700 full-time agents. So it's handling 2/3 of their customer service chats. You can get onto the Klarna website and play around with it. It is, you know, and so I use this example to sort of, you know, as an example of the opportunity. It's a transformational opportunity for how we do customer service and interact with our customers. With that said, there's also some risks, you know, and some of these are sort of funnier than others. But all of them allude to this point that AI is this great new technology, but it also comes with new risks. So one example we always love is somebody was playing around with a AI-powered chatbot at a car dealership, and they managed to talk the chatbot into selling them a Chevy Tahoe for $1, which is a pretty sweet deal. And unsurprisingly, you know, and there's this next example, found someone else was playing around with a Air Canada chatbot, and they got it to give them a refund for something it otherwise wouldn't have given them a refund for. And that one actually went through the courts. And what the court found, unsurprisingly, is that you are responsible for what is said on your website. And so if that has a generative AI powered chatbot making up stuff on your website, you are responsible for what it says. In our space, we've seen versions of Gen AI powered chatbots for banks and credit unions. And I was able to play around with one of them and have it offer me a $1 million mortgage at 0%. And so, it speaks to the huge amount of power in this new technology, but also the risk. And so we need to manage that risk as we think about applying AI in our organizations. So that risk is hallucinations. And if you've used ChatGPT, you'll notice that is like that one friend we all have, a sort of confident storyteller, but not always accurate. There's also privacy risks, there's legal questions, there's explainability depending on how you're applying it and where you're applying it. There's alignment, there's some nefarious things that you can do with prompt hacking that are not always obvious. And so, again, there's a lot of new risks when we think about applying this technology. And so at Glia, when we think about applying AI, we have this responsible AI is it's a huge opportunity, but we need to be responsible in how we apply it. And what we mean when we say responsible AI at Glia is AI that is safe, that is secure, that doesn't hallucinate, that is not sharing your customer data back with a large language model, that is encrypted the whole way through. And so, we work with a lot of banks and credit unions, and it's a heavily regulated space. And so secure data, maintaining privacy, meeting all the regulations, et cetera, in our industry is very, very important. It also means, one thing that's been true with AI projects, most AI projects, is that they sort of look like a toolkit. And they end up being quite a lot of work to take that toolkit and build a product. And so the analogy we use is, a lot of AI products are the garage full of tools and parts, and you need a bunch of expert mechanics to turn that into a car. And so people have this like amazing promise of what you can do with AI, but oh man, it takes a whole bunch of time to actually do that thing with AI, and you have to build it from scratch every time. And so when we think about responsible AI that's really applicable in the real world and can have a big impact, that's turnkey AI solutions. So in our analogy, that's your F1 car, ready to go, built, you just drive it out of the garage, and then you pull it in for a pit stop and we change the tires. So it's a little bit of touching up and things like that, but the car's ready to roll. And then the other one is there's no shortage of novelty AI out there, and people slapping AI under their products like a bumper sticker. So when we're thinking about applying AI products, we need AI that delivers real value, proven value, and solves a big important problem. And so this is a really critical thing to think about when you're applying AI in your organization. So for customer AI, as we said, there's a huge opportunity to automate customer interactions, and we do that at scale across a large number of customers today. There's a huge opportunity for your agents to streamline their workflows, to automate some of their tasks. With the features we have today in production, we can improve agent productivity by 20%, which is a huge impact, a transformational impact for most frontline teams. And then for managers, we can give them new insight and reporting tools and help them figure out how to plan and make decisions to improve their organization a bit better. So I thought, I wanted to run through what we do at Glia as an example of what can be done. So what I'll do is I'll walk through sort of how we think about our product here at Glia, and I'll show you a quick demo of some of the features. And the purpose is really to sort of get you thinking about what you could be doing in your organization. So at Glia, we break our product into sort of 3 segments. The first is customer AI. So that's automating interactions with customers, whether they happen in chat, in digital channels, in online banking, or in your web portal, or whether they happen over the phone and you're calling up and chatting to an automated assistant. We also have AI that helps to improve agent productivity. And so this is streamlining those agent workflows, and I'll show you a few examples there. And the key thing with agent AI is that it's just, very seamlessly baked into agents' existing workflows. And I think that's the power of having AI applied in that space. And then the third is manager AI. So AI that can be used by managers, mostly around new insight and reporting capabilities. So, a lot of reports today require you to dig through a complex UI in order to get what you want. And I think AI lets us just ask for what we want and get answers instead. And I think if you've played around with ChatGPT, that's one of the big sort of powerful parts of that. Eden, I've been going at this for a little while. I can jump into a quick demo, but anything that you'd like to add, anything I missed?
No, I agree with everything you're saying here. While you get your screen pulled up, it's interesting on the manager AI. I had somebody tell me the other day that it takes them 3 hours to pull their weekly reports with their existing call center platform. I thought that was crazy. And knowing now that we can do that in 5 seconds with generative AI. So bringing it back though to that poll question we asked at the beginning, when we're saying what percentage of interactions will be either fully automated or augmented by AI, we're not just talking about the customer experience, which I think is what a lot of people's minds went to whenever they answered this poll. We're talking about the back end as well. So even if I'm having a live interaction with a live customer and a live agent, we still have tools that can augment the agent experience to make them have quicker, more efficient interactions with customers real time on the back end. So that's where some of the trickery of that question comes in. So Jake, why don't you hop in here? Yeah.
And of course, done on purpose. So we want you, if we were in your shoes, we would encourage you to be thinking about how you can use AI to augment your agents. And so streamline workflows, automate some of their tasks, build it for, IT help desk. Those internal applications, particularly with generative AI, can help manage some of the risks that we saw. So hallucinations and things like that, are less important to completely control for internal use cases than for putting it in front of your customers. And we think there's a huge amount of opportunity. So I'll show you some examples of what we do today and how we get to that 100% number, because there's some of our features that AI features that apply for every interaction. So that said, I'll jump into a quick demo here. Eden, if you have any questions as I go through, you want to see anything else, let us know. I'll start with a customer-facing chatbot. My guess is you've seen a customer-facing chatbot before, but I thought I'd share what we do in any case. So the goal here is to automate those simple, routine, high volume, highly repetitive inquiries that we get through. And as Eden said, we work a lot with credit unions and banks. And so I'll just ask a few questions related to banks and credit unions. So our customer-facing chatbot works in phone, it works in digital within our widget. The benefit of digital, of course, is you get all these nice GUI elements, so you can click around and navigate through. And this is a really powerful part of customer-facing chatbots. And I will say, we talk a lot about AI, but when it comes to building a customer chatbot, the design, which is not AI, but the design element of it is at least as important as the AI element, if not more important. So the effort you spend crafting good responses and designing the conversation flows and iterating on that is at least as important as the effort you spend going into AI training. I'll ask another question. The goal with a customer-facing chatbot is mostly to handle sort of simple routine queries. So in banking, a very common one is, what's my routing number? I'm sure you've all tried to find that on your bank's website at some stage, and you can't. It's always hidden somewhere where you least expect it. So now you can just get in and ask. And I think that's the power of a conversational interface is, we have that web portal, but it's hard to find the information we want sometimes, or it's hard to do something.
And help me understand, Jake. So we just showed examples of generative AI on public-facing websites and talked about why that's a no-no. So what are you showing any different here?
Yeah, that's a great point. So for us, when we deploy a customer-facing chatbot, so like what you see here, whether it's in the phone or in digital, we're using a large language model underneath to understand what the customer is saying. So if I say something here like, where do I go to order checks? I can't find that info anywhere. We're using a large language model underneath to understand what the customer is saying. And then we retrieve an answer from a library. And so that answer is pre-built, it's approved by our customer, by the financial institution, and then it's sent back to, and then we retrieve that answer and we send it back. So in this case, yeah, I can help you find out where to order checks. You can do it right here. And so the reason we build it out like that is that we eliminate the risk of AI generating a response on the fly and sending that to a customer, which in our space, banking, where a lot of our customers are, is even if it's wrong, like 0.0001% of the time, that's too much. So we have to have zero risk. We can't have low risk. Maybe it's a bit different for everybody's business, but I think when it comes to customer facing chatbots, particularly given we don't really know how people can do prompt hacking, and it is we're still finding out lots of new things. I think I encourage you to look at an approach like the one we've taken, which is a retrieval-based system where you're still using a large language model, but then you're retrieving an approved answer or a trusted answer.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. And if you have any questions on that, feel free and throw them in the little Q&A box and I'll start going through and answering them as we go throughout. So Jake, what happens if I'm tired of talking to this chatbot? The chatbot is not giving me the help I need and I need to speak to somebody who has a little bit more knowledge.
Yeah, so I just asked a question that would probably take you to an agent. So, I've been out shopping. I think I lost my credit card. So we can help you freeze your card if you want. But I could also just go through and talk to an agent. And on the right-hand side of my screen, you'll be able to see, you can see the agent interface. And so if I hand over to the agent, you can see one thing we've got here is a nice summary of the conversation as it comes over. So I'll just accept that. And you can see the summary that's gone in there. And so this is great. This is generative AI. In this case, we're using generative AI to read the conversation that's happened. And then we transfer over to an agent. The agent doesn't have to go back through and read that whole conversation thread. They can just read this nice summary here. And then if another generative AI feature we have is we build out a sort of type ahead or autocomplete feature. So if I start typing, hi there, you can see it's suggesting it's completing my sentence for me. And so I can, if I can just start typing with all sorts of things here and it will start to complete my sentence for me. So that's called autocomplete. And that can have a really big impact on agent productivity, often improving agent productivity by 5 to 10%. So it looks like a simple feature, but a very impactful feature. And this is just learning on the conversations that your agents have with customers on a day-to-day basis. Another great feature that we have is a version of our, an AI assistant that's built for agents. And so if I have a query like this one, for example, I'll put this in from the customer side. Hey, I got locked out of my online banking. Can you help me reset my password? And we can have an AI assistant pop up and say, it can give, sort of alerts or notifications to the agent in real time. So it listens to the conversation and then in real time, it'll pop up with these, a caution, hey, password reset carries a risk of fraud. Please remain vigilant and keep an eye on our, a link to a knowledge base if I needed to follow certain security protocols. So I can just click out to that knowledge base.
And I think the important thing to talk about here is that these seem like very minute little things, right? Little alterations or augmentations to the agent workflow. But when you start having hundreds or thousands of agent interactions a month, those seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute interaction really adds up over time. And so Jake will talk about some of the ROI customers see in just a second. But Jake, maybe we've got 5 minutes here. Maybe we just show maybe 2 more things with agent wrap up and manager AI, and we can turn it over.
Yeah, so I mean, Agent Assist is a great tool. It can suggest answers to agents. It can prompt them with real-time coaching. So it's it looks a little bit tactical, but it can really help, particularly you have a lot of agents sort of onboarding and learning the ropes. The other feature that we have that's used on almost 100% of interactions is when we end a call or when we end a chat engagement, we'll often have a wrap survey. So you see on the right-hand side here, you'll have a few questions for the agent to complete about what that conversation was about. The wrap code, was the customer happy or not? A summary of the interaction. You might have interactions happening in Spanish and you want to translate them to English or vice versa. So we can now use generative AI to completely automate that wrap survey. And so for your average interaction, completing that wrap survey takes on average 1 to 2 minutes per interaction, which is a lot of time given average interaction length is 6 to 8 minutes. And so we've reduced that time to 0 or close to 0. So it's a huge impact. And I'll show one other feature, if we go back, after an engagement has ended, we can go back through and sort of look over the engagement. But if we have a question, it's often hard for us to find that information needed. You've got to pour through the whole conversation transcript and figure out what the answer you're looking for. So we built a feature called Ask Cortex, where you can just get in and ask any question you want about that interaction. Like, how could the agent have improved this chat? And so it'll read the conversation and then provide you with a nice answer based purely on that conversation. So these are not all of the things we do, Eden, but there's some of the things we do. And some examples of how we're using AI and generative AI in the real world to have an impact on agent productivity, customer, and customer automation.
Amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and skip past these slides. We'll include them in the follow-up if you all are curious on how those little tiny tweaks to the overall experience can actually have a larger impact. But we wanted to, just recap really quick. So really the punchline of this presentation is that generative AI, while it's amazing and can have a lot of value, is probably not quite yet ready to be customer facing. So the way that you want to deploy customer-facing AI is to leverage a large language model to understand all the different ways customers ask questions, but the responses should be very controlled and contained from a customer-facing perspective, so you don't end up like a Chevy or Canada Air where, they're really having to honor the reverse engineering of their own bot on their webpage. On the back end, however, generative AI can be used immediately to start streamlining agent experiences and streamlining manager quality assurance and reporting needs, because generative AI is really good at things like summarization. So I'll actually click to this next slide here. If you are starting to deploy AI in your organization, or you're looking for what are the considerations that I should have when I'm starting an AI project, here's a couple of things you should take a look at. Again, won't cover all of this, we'll send as a resource, but is the data secure and private? Is at any point in the workflow, is your data leaving the infrastructure of the AI provider? Are you solving a real problem, or are you bumper stickering AI onto your car because it's the cool new thing? Is your use case internal or external? I just talked about that. Customer facing or internal facing. That has insinuations on the risk of deploying AI. What is the relative importance of performance, speed, reliability, cost as you go about? Should I build my own bot? Should I buy my own bot? What are the things I should be trading off there? Do you have the ability to loop in humans if you have a customer-facing bot whenever there's an escalation path needed? We've probably all been online with a chatbot and it just goes in this perpetual loop and we can never talk to a human. Frustrating, can have a terrible hit to your NPS score and CSAT scores. So some things to consider there. And are you monitoring and logging everything that's going on? Do you have the reporting to understand what's working, what's not, where the risks are? And then Austin, I think you had one more resource as well for those that came today.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone who's attended this webinar, please, if you're not sure where to start with AI, that's often the thing we hear from customers a lot of times when they come and find us is, all this sounds great. I've seen so many different use cases and our, brains are going crazy and just don't know where to start, right? It's almost like it's the biggest problem is where do we begin? That's exactly where we help. So we have an AI impact assessment, which anyone here can take advantage of us. Please or advantage of, please contact us if you'd like to. We analyze your current interactions, could be recording, could be digital interactions, could be voice interactions, gain insights on some of your interaction reasons, and then deliver recommendations for prioritizing your AI to make sure that you build a business case that's gonna help us find some low-hanging fruit to make AI worth it.
Awesome. And thanks, Jake, for presenting today. If you all are interested in learning more, whether you just want to have a thought leadership discussion or you're actually interested in evaluating Glia for your own organization, please reach out to Austin and the Inflow team, and they will coordinate that intro call.
Excellent. Well, Jake, Eden, thank you both so much. Really, really appreciate you both, your time, and as well as the partnership.
Absolutely. Thanks
Thanks,
all. Have a great
Everyone,
week.
bye-bye.